Okay, so we've been talking about what is the controls on a river. And so to summarize, we said that the slope is going to influence what a river does. The discharge, which is the amount of water that is traveling in the river per second, is also going to affect what the river does. And now we want to talk about the velocity or the speed of the river. And so here is a formula that shows you what does the velocity of a river depend on. And so it says that V for velocity is proportional to the square root of the slope S multiplied by the cross-sectional area A of the river, and then divided by a constant which is called the roughness of the bottom of the channel. And so that depends on is the water flowing over rocks, which would be very rough, or is it flowing over mud, which is going to be very smooth. So depending on the roughness of the channel bed, that's going to determine the value of R. And then P is the wetted perimeter, and so that is the amount of water that is in contact with the bottom of the channel. So I'm not, on the exam, I am not going to be asking you to plug any numbers into that formula, but I could ask you a question like this. If you have a river that has a slope like this, and then you've got another river that has a slope like this, then which of these two rivers is going to have the higher velocity? Okay, so that this one up here has a larger slope, a larger gradient, and so that means that in that formula there, the S is on the top part of the fraction, so that if you increase the slope, it will increase the speed of the river. Or I could say, what about if a river is flowing over rocks? And then you have another river that is flowing over mud, which one is going to have the higher speed, the higher velocity? All right, so if the water is flowing over rocks, that means it's rough. So the R would be bigger. And if the R is bigger and it's in the bottom part of a formula, what comes out? Something that is very small. So that the smoother the surface that the water flows over, the faster it's going to be able to flow over. So those would be kinds of questions that I could ask you on the exam, and it comes back to this formula. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the material that is being carried by the river, and that's going to be called the load.